For decades, the standard path for Indian students involved heavy memorization and rigid rote learning. At the other end of the journey, the public procurement system favored large, established corporations, often leaving small startups locked out of government contracts. This line graph illustrates the valley of death. It represents the perilous gap between developing a research prototype and reaching the market. Without early funding to cross this valley, most deep tech hardware startups run out of cash before they ever secure a customer. In 2016, the government intervened to repair this pipeline. Housed within NITI Aayog, they launched the Atal Innovation Mission, or AIM, as a centralized structure to oversee the country's innovation ecosystem. Today, that mission supports founders leading deep tech enterprises that build the complex hardware solutions supplying India's national programs. AIM functions as a multi-tiered pipeline designed to guide citizens from middle school classrooms through the stages of development until they are ready for the market. The pipeline begins in schools with Atal Tinkering Labs, dedicated makerspaces for students in grades 6 through 12. Instead of relying on textbooks, students move through a 4-level process, from initial idea generation to the post-Tinker Lab phase. They use 3D printers, DIY electronics, and physical computing to build prototypes that solve local problems. A study by Athena Infonomics shows this hands-on approach correlates with a 74.4% surge in student interest toward STEM careers. That interest translates to the classroom, with 68.8% of surveyed schools reporting measurable improvements in core curricular grades. By introducing physical tinkering at a young age, the program turns students from passive consumers of technology into active problem solvers. As these students move into higher education, the next stage of the pipeline takes over through Atal incubation centers and community-focused hubs in underserved regional cities. Across 72 of these active incubation centers, raw prototypes are structured into formal business entities. Startups receive physical lab space, seed capital, and the expert mentorship needed to become sustainable enterprises. We started with a rough idea. Inside the incubator, we were given the technical resources to refine our hardware and the legal support to formalize our business before we tried to scale. This infrastructure extends into tribal and rural areas, where it has supported thousands of growing enterprises, including over 1,000 startups led by women. Providing this state-backed physical space and legal mentorship helps ensure that high-potential intellectual property does not disappear after the research phase is over. The most difficult hurdle for a newly incubated startup is crossing the commercialization gap to achieve full market entry. To cross this, AIM provides the ANIC and ARISE grant programs, which offer direct, equity-free funding of up to 50 lakh or 1 crore rupees to selected enterprises. Beyond the money, a shift in procurement strategy allows central government ministries to act as a first buyer for these newly developed technologies. Major agencies, including the Ministry of Defense, Health, and the Indian Space Research Organization, are now able to procure solutions directly from these startups. Securing a central government ministry as a first customer de-risks the startup, providing a track record that helps them attract future private investment. When you look at the total scale of the mission, it becomes clear how these individual startup journeys add up across the country. Today, 10,000 tinkering labs engage over 1.1 crore students, while the incubator network supports more than 3,500 startups that have created over 32,000 jobs. Having a support structure that stayed with us, from the tinkering phase to a government contract, is exactly what gave us the runway to build this company. India's growth in deep tech is the result of this deliberate end-to-end policy architecture. By connecting childhood curiosity to the requirements of national procurement, the mission has established a structural link between the classroom and technological self-reliance.